Hello and welcome to another edition of Open Studios here at NCM Hub. My name is Lilly Dissette, and today I am joined by Bronson DeStadler, who is a parishioner at St. Paul's Church, as well as the founder of organizer of a new Lunchtime Concert Series. So first of all, Bronson, would you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I've been a parishioner at St. Paul's for about 40 years or so, and I'm currently retired. I'm a social worker, clinical social worker, and have retired and developed a real interest over the last, I would say, 15 to 20 years interest in music and finding ways to both promote music and to offer music to the public. And the reason I do that, and the reason I feel that that's very important along with others, is because music brings us together in ways that so many other things don't, and particularly now where there's so much divisiveness in our society. I think music really brings people together, and it really uplifts them in ways that many other things don't. So I'm very pleased to have been working on this Lunchtime series, which we're going to inaugurate in June.
Wonderful. And it seems that we've got some different eras of historical music highlighted in this upcoming concert series. So firstly, would you tell me a bit more about the Lunchtime Concert Series and what made you want to launch the program?
Sure. We started the program, St. Paul started a music series that I was working on back in pre-COVID days. And it was developing, and we were bringing groups in from Boston. The Newburyport Chamber Music Festival has always considered St. Paul's its home, does some of its main concerts there, and some of the open rehearsals. We also had some other groups, Skylark Vocal Ensemble, which is a very well-known national group, has been coming there now for a number of years. And we started a music series in the chapel, which was meant to be a lunchtime series, so that people, if they were working in the community or they were looking for something to do around lunchtime, they could come in be there at 12:15, and the concert would go for 45 minutes or so, and it was somewhat more informal. And the concerts are free, and we ask for donations as people are able to give them. If not, that's just fine. The idea is to really bring people together and to offer some interesting music that people can listen to. And we began that pre-COVID days, and then COVID kind of squashed everything in terms of concerts and bringing people together in public places. So it kind of languished, and at the moment we have a new music director, Mary Jodice, who's really a dynamite person and is a multi-talented person as well. She's a choral director for a group in Salem, as well as the chorus of the church. She's a pianist. She's an organist, and she's currently studying a harpsichord course at Juilliard School of Music in Boston. So she's was very interested in doing this lunchtime series where she could highlight some of the people that she knows, and we could do it in a less formal ways than an evening concert. So that's how it all began, so we're going to be, the concerts will be on the first Thursday of every month from 12:15 to 1 o'clock. The first one is on June 5th, and that's going to be music from the Baroque era. And it's going to be played on the organ in St. Paul's Chapel. And I can tell you a little bit about that organ if you're interested.
Absolutely. So first maybe I'll ask about Mary. So she is the organist for these series. Is she the only musician playing?
No, she won't. And she won't be in every concert. Okay. She's just going to be doing some of them. And some people who she knows from the music world will be coming up doing them on their own or with others.
That's great. So what variety of instruments will be showcased during these shows?
Organs, pianos, soloists from a variety of different backgrounds, and probably cello and violinists.
Fantastic. Wow, that's great. So it's the first Thursday of every month.
Correct.
So the upcoming dates are June 3rd and what's the next one after that?
The June 5th.
June 5th, sorry.
Thursday, June 5th. And then the following concert after that is July 3rd, which is just before July 4th. And that Thursday concert will be revolutionary music for voice and keyboard. It's going to be music which was sourced and popular at the time of the American Revolution, played on piano and by vocalists.
Wow, so those are two very different themes. How do you go about selecting the themes for these lunchtime concerts?
Well, fortunately, I don't. I leave it all to Mary, and
Okay.
she does it. And it's, I think, very much, she wanted to do something which highlighted the organ, number one. And then second, she wanted to do something which highlighted the celebration for the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution as we move into the next year. So she was particularly interested in those themes, but I think the other themes will depend on who's available and what musicians she can garner to come up. And so I think they'll be playing a variety of music with an emphasis towards classical, obviously. But again, vocalist, piano, organ, cello, violin. I think it'll be an interesting surprise.
Very comprehensive, yes.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the historic organ at Anna's?
Yeah, St.
Chapel?
Anna's Chapel. Well, yes, because that will be the highlight of the first concert. Will on June 5th, the music from the Baroque era will be highlighting that instrument. And St. Anne's, if you'll indulge me, St. Anne's Chapel is a part of on the grounds of St. Paul's. It was built in 1862 during the Civil War, and it was built by the Reverend William Horton, who was the priest at St. Paul's in the 1850s. His daughter, he only had one child, and his daughter was named Anna Marie Horton, and she unfortunately died, I think, at the age of 22 or 23 from tuberculosis, what they called consumption in those days. And it was his only child, and he was an only child. So he wanted to do something to make a lasting monument to both her memory and to the family in some way. And so he approached the vestry at St. Paul's and said, I want to build a chapel in memory of my daughter, and I want it to be called St. Anna's Chapel, and I'll give you some money to do that. So he offered them the princely sum of $6,000 to build the chapel, which was a remarkable amount of money in those days, and they jumped on it. And I'll get to the organ in a minute, but I like this part of the story. They jumped on it, but the problem was there were graves all around the church, because that was the custom with Anglican churches. It started off as a Church of England until the American Revolution, when it transitioned into the Episcopal Church. And so there were graves all around the sides of the church, so where they wanted to build the chapel, there were graves. So they asked the relatives of those people who were buried there from the 1700s if they could move their graves over to the other side of the chapel, which was actually, I learned something that happened a lot. They actually moved graves around a lot, which I didn't know that, but they did. And 2/3 of the people agreed to have their relatives removed. 1/3 did not. So they wanted to build this chapel. So what they did was hired an architect, Rufus Sargent, who did the Institution for Savings and the Kelly School and some other buildings around Newburyport and other places. And it's built off the ground. So if you go there, you'll notice you have to climb up about 6 or 7 steps. And that's because it's up high, because underneath it, the third of the property are graves. And if you go in the basement, you can actually see those graves. So it's has an interesting history in that. Now, to get to the organ, the organ is original from 1862. It's in remarkable condition. It has not been totally rebuilt, as many organs from that era or later were. It's pretty much original except for the reeds, which needed to be replaced. It was a hand pump organ originally, so someone would go in, usually a youngster, and pump it all through the service so you could get the organ. It has since been mechanized so that you can actually turn it on. Although, as I said, the hand pump still works, so you can still operate it from the hand pump. one of the reasons that it has lasted so long and remained in such remarkable condition is because the chapel is unheated. So apparently the heating of it dries out the air so much that it causes a lot of damage to organs, and because that didn't happen, it's remained remarkably intact. So when you hear the organ played, you're really hearing more or less the sound which people heard in 1862 on that organ.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so the first concert is going to be a selection of music from the Baroque era for organ, which Mary Jodice is going to be playing. And again, the range of the sounds from the organ are remarkable because it's a very small piece, but it was so meticulously hand-built that you will be surprised to see the range of different types of sounds which can come out: low, high, low vibrato, whatever, bass. It's again, I think it's a very, very interesting experience to go there to hear.
Absolutely. Has Mary Jodice deliberately selected a range of music that will showcase the range of the organ?
Yeah, she has. And I unfortunately, I don't have that. So I don't have the information on that. But I think she has got a good selection.
Seems like she runs a tight ship over there.
She does run a tight ship. She's a very, very dedicated and energetic person about music.
All right. So was she also the one responsible for selecting the theme of Revolutionary War music for the following concert?
Yes, for the following one. And she wanted to do music which was current at the time of 1775, 1776, and to showcase that music with piano and voice.
Great. Could you tell me a bit more about those pieces? Do you have any more information on those?
I don't have information on those yet. So I look forward to coming back and giving you that information.
Yeah, definitely. That will be July 3rd.
Correct, the day before July 4th. And again, I'll know what the program is at that point.
Sounds great. Wow. So it seems like there's quite a range of different themes. Do you have any idea of what the following month's themes will be?
No, I'm not sure, because I think she's still working on that based on the musicians that are available to come up, because again, she's really working with people who are, professional musicians. So it depends on who's available and then what their preferences are. So I think putting together a program is an interesting process, because you're engaging with the musician and you're finding out what kind of music they like and what they want to showcase and what their strengths are, and you're also talking with them about doing a balance of different types of music which would engage the audience in some way. So in September, there'll be another concert on the first Thursday. There won't be one in August because the Newburyport Chamber Music Festival begins its festival of music spread over, I think it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be 12 to 13 days in the beginning of August, which will be very exciting. And some of those concerts will take place in St. Paul's, some will take place in a variety of other places.
That's wonderful, yes. It seems like you have a lot of different events coming up at St. Paul's. Is there anything else happening besides?
Yeah, there's a lot of, again, I'm so thrilled that we're back in the game with music, because again, as I said, I think it brings people together, and very often people who would not necessarily be sitting there next to each other. I always... I tell this story, if you can indulge me. Penny Lazarus, who's a musician in town and a piano teacher and very active in the musical community, teaches piano. And I go to her recitals because she often chooses some very interesting themes, and they take place at St. Paul's. And the themes are very often around, the last one was women composers who have been overlooked and not recognized for some of the brilliant work which they had done. And so her students will play those. And I was sitting up in the balcony, and I looked down, and there was a guy. He was probably in his early 20s, and he was, he had tattoos on his arm, and he had really big jeans and baggy pants and a couple of chains off the side, and and I thought to myself, well, he's here because his parents dragged him here, because his brother's probably recital, it's his brother's recital, and they said you have to go. So I'm waiting and waiting. The last piece, she calls a name. This guy stands up, goes to the front of the room, plays the piano, and plays a Beethoven piece brilliantly.
Incredible.
And I just thought, that's what music does. It brings together. And I talked to him afterwards. I never would have talked to this guy otherwise. It's just we're in two different worlds in some ways. So I think the music which we do really tries to cover a lot of different areas. So some of the music, to answer your question, coming up is Mary Jodice actually has a concert, a fundraising concert, because the choral group she is the choir master for, called the Jubilate Choir Ensemble, choral ensemble, is based in Salem, Mass, and they are going to be doing an in residency for a week at Chichester Cathedral in the UK. And so she's doing a fundraiser to support that, and that will be, I believe, on Friday the 16th of May, and that's a tribute to very different George Gershwin and Cole Porter. So doing songs from the American Songbook from the 1920s to the 1940s. And she will be playing piano, and there are two vocalists from Boston, accomplished professionals, who will be coming up to singing. So all the funds for that will go towards their trip to. So that's coming up. We're very excited about that. It's in the evening at 7 o'clock. And then within a couple of weeks, I think Skylark is coming back, the Skylark Vocal Ensemble, which is, really a nationally known group, which is an Emmy-nominated, group of musicians. They will be here. I have to think about it now, but it'll come to me. So we have them coming up, and the Newburyport Chamber Music Festival, as I mentioned before, and Contamus, which is another vocal ensemble. And they're going to be doing, again, in tribute to the 250th anniversary, Songs of America. So a variety of different kinds of songs, from Woody Guthrie to Walt Whitman to Peter, Paul, and Mary to...
Classics.
Just the classics of the American. So those, it's very exciting to have them back. They started coming back with us last year, and it's a really wonderful North Shore group.
That's great. It seems like quite a wide variety of musical tours you're organizing here.
Yeah, and we're trying to grow and develop it all the time.
So is it primarily you and Mary working in tandem to organize these events at St. Paul's?
Yes. We're primarily working on that, and also work with Deirdre Bedzina, who's well known in town as a theater arts person, and has a real interest in bringing people in as well.
That's great. Have you encountered any challenges in organizing these events?
Well, I suppose there's always some challenges, isn't there?
Something logistical, right?
Yeah, a lot of it, like just getting the audio system to work right, and making sure you have enough chairs. We've had some really good logistical challenges for the Christmas concert. The Chamber Music Festival does a Christmas concert called Winter Baroque, and this year was the first year there was a sellout concert. So it was 230 people in the church. So we kind of were scrambling for chairs, at the last minute to kind of get people seated and comfortable and all of that. But I don't think we've had other kinds of challenges because the church itself is very accommodating to large groups of people. And the chapel, too, is very accommodating for about, I think its limits is about 125 people. So 100 and 125, you can sit very comfortably. No, we've managed okay, and we have a somewhat dedicated group of volunteers who act as greeters and as ticket takers. So that's worked out very well indeed.
It works out well when the community is willing to pitch in and help support the church.
Yes. We probably have about 10 people who were involved in doing that for, in different concerts. So.
That's great. Well, is there a place where people can go to find out more about this upcoming Lunchtime Concert Series or other anniversary events?
Yes, there is. Well, for the upcoming Music in the Chapel series, you can go to, right now you can go to St. Paul's at Newburyport.org and go under Music, and it will be listed on the church website. It'll eventually be listed on Eventbrite, which is the site we use for tickets. The Gershwin and Porter American Songbook is on Eventbrite right now, so you can look that up if you go to gershwinandporter.eventbrite.com. It'll come right up.
Fantastic.
The Music in the Chapel concerts will be on Eventbrite just for people to sign up if they wish, because again, it's a free concert.
That's great. Well, what a wonderful way to spend your lunchtimes on the first Thursday of the month.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Bronson DeStadler of St. Paul's Church for joining me here today. Don't miss Music in the Chapel, a lunchtime concert series with its next show on Thursday, June 5th, and the following on Thursday, July 3rd, with both concerts beginning at 12:15 p.m. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.